Hey everybody, glad to see you. This is the 7th electric scooter I'm thoroughly testing for the last few months. The brand is called Kugoo, so yes, that's another Chinese budget-friendly electric scooter. Costs around $350. And over here I'm going to talk about its specifications, about the riding experience, and then we'll talk about whether it is really good to buy or not so good to buy. The Kugoo S1 Pro. Welcome everybody, Tech for Road channel. I'm Michael, and as usual we inspect cool tech. I don't really know how cool this is. It's rather cheap, and I use the word cheap on purpose, not just the price, but the overall feeling of this is being cheap, and you can't expect much more from $350. Like if we compare it to the much more expensive Unagi Moto 1, which was reviewed a few months ago, which has a quite nice sleek design, fantastic buttons, awesome display. Well, over here I guess the design is similar around making it very budget friendly. Therefore, it is hard to expect extreme build quality or cool features or the comfort of riding a scooter like the M365, but it has a few unique strengths and we're going to talk about them. First of all, this scooter borrows the design of a much more reputable brand. So what the Kugoo engineers have done, they took the basis and they have slightly modified that, with probably the goal being or getting as affordable as possible, and also achieving that without impacting too much the rest of the specs. But that didn't work quite well overall. Now, the S1 Pro is the successor to the S1, and many things that I'll say are relevant to both scooters. To those of you who know the S1 already, let me be short and clear, and I'll let you watch whatever else you want. So updates are the side lights, the board, probably the battery, and the tires. Now the riding is much more comfortable, but not as smooth as the M365, so not yet. For those of you who never watched the review of the predecessor called S1, you can do that later. Now we'll start with whatever is important about the Pro version. And we start with the unboxing. Package, good, and I got mine from Geekbuying, so it is nicely packed and comes in a big safe box and also has a nice carrying bag with the Geekbuying logo, which is a nice idea, but I won't use it just because it has someone else's logo. There is no assembling needed. Take it out, charge it, and it is riding ready. This is one of the greatest strengths here, because often people are scared about putting things together. You will immediately notice the wider board, and that gives more comfort to your feet. I'm 45 EU shoes, and it feels alright. Actually, it feels really good and spacey. The scooter has a motor in the front wheel, power of 350 watts, and feels faster and more powerful than the M365, and feels slightly less powerful than the M365 Pro. Both wheels have solid tires, but now Kugoo are using air gap models, which feel nicer and a little softer. Although the price of the S1 Pro is only $350, it does have active suspension, both on the front and the rear. And unlike the previous generation where it was so stuck that I didn't even notice it at the start, with the Pro it was all fine-tuned and quite soft and responsive. You can adjust it to your weight additionally. That was a good surprise. The rest is more or less the same as the non-Pro. The same materials, the same base, the same height, the same adjustable height on the handlebar, which makes the scooter good for very short people or kids. But it is not a good idea to give this 350 watt beast to a 30 kilo weighting kid, because it can hurt it a lot. There is the same kind of folding mechanism, and while in the previous video I was kind of making fun of it with the wrench, I gotta say thanks to each and every one of you who contributed with educating me how to do the folding. Thanks a lot for that. Actually, the big benefit of this mechanism is that there is absolutely no way this to kind of fold while you're riding, which is a good advantage. The disadvantage, especially if you're a nice gentle lady, you better find someone else to be folding this scooter for you. Another good news, besides being adjustable really easily, the handles are also foldable, and that makes the scooter way more portable than the M365. Here's the monitor, which even in direct sunlight is somehow visible under certain angles. Two brakes, the front one, which is a motor brake triggered with this lever, and a rear brake, the so-called emergency. Be careful if you use it when the ground is wet. These are solid tires, it's not exactly rubber, and it gets really slippery. Time to talk about the riding experience, and this is the toughest topic because it very much depends on your priorities, but I can classify this essentially as bumpy, not very comfortable, and a kind of noisy. Acceleration is good, the range is good as well. Speeds are 12, 20 and 25 kilometers per hour respectively, or you might go up to 30 kilometers per hour for certain regions. So the speeds are well tuned. There also is automatic cruise control. Just maintain the speed for a few seconds and it kicks in. Very useful, especially if you cover longer distances. Construction feels somehow fragile. I have the exact same feeling riding the non-pro version, and I'm sure that the grade of metal used is good enough. And for the sake of the test, I have abused a lot this one. Nothing failed. In fact, it survived quite serious tests, but that is the subjective feeling you get, especially if you've ever tried a Lime scooter or even the Mi scooter. It's pretty nice to have a display with real-time speed info, and it's easy to switch between gears. Lights are fine, a front and a rear, and there now are two additional lights on the handles, which are activated with a press. And you can unscrew them. So basically, right now it's not a very bright day, so if I turn the light on, you can probably see that blinking, or probably you can't. I don't know about the usefulness of this thing, but because it's plastic, and that's a relatively cheap kind of plastic, I'm sure that the first time this scooter, falls down on the side, that definitely is going to break. I'm just lucky that within this month I never had a serious accident. Well, maybe with the exception of, it fell once, but that wasn't too bad and I wasn't riding. The most annoying part of all is the constant rattling noise. Everyone in a perimeter of like 40-50 meters can hear that something is coming if the asphalt is a little more abrasive. And that just ruins the fun and the pleasure if you're used to get a comfortable, smooth and quiet ride. But on the other side, if we have to keep it positive, it's a good kind of warning. Guess you don't need this beep. I'll turn it on and now hear the beep. It's really quiet. I mean, I can talk, and if you're on a noisy street, nobody would really hear you. Now, in terms of range, range is always kind of a benchmark for me. With the Mi scooter, I usually get somewhere around 20 kilometers, and most of the achievements with the S1 Pro are somewhere around that range. I mean, you can squeeze like 22, 23 kilometers, which equals 15 miles, sort of, if you're riding at the second gear and if you're a little bit more conservative. And because the motor is not having curse or any other kind of energy recovery, it can last more when there is no acceleration. So cruising at no power cost is an option at slight slopes. Even when the voltage drops below 35, and you can verify this from the monitor, there still is power and thrust, and that is also quite nice. Oh, and not to forget, this is not a kick scooter, so it accelerates from a steel point. Nicely foldable, very portable, two independent brakes, a display with real-time speed, and overall good range and good acceleration, active suspension, acceleration from steel stand and maintenance-free tires. This is the goods. Build quality issues, not the greatest folding mechanism in the world, not so smooth riding, and kind of noisy if the road is not perfectly leveled. At the end, it's down to your choice whether you like it or not. I believe at the price of $350 or euro, it is hard to ask for more from such kind of device. And to the big question, is it better than the M365? Now, I would hardly say that, but it very much depends on the point of view. If you want to get something out of the box, which is having worry-free tires and doesn't require any kind of maintenance, then yeah, maybe the Kugoo S1 Pro is a good choice. I know that for some countries there's a requirement to have two independent brakes, therefore that's a point where the M365 is simply failing. And I guess with that said, my job here is done, and it's time for your verdict. Would you please tell me what you think of the Kugoo S1 Pro? Do you think that's a scooter you can really enjoy, or all these little shortcomings would be the reason to skip it, despite the fact it packs so many features at the tempting affordable price of $350. By the way, there's a big campaign from Geekbuying, and they were so kind to give a lot of coupon codes. You can check in the description for getting really the best price to get the scooter, which probably is going to be even cheaper than the price announced. And I hope you enjoyed the review. If that is so, hit the like, subscribe for the channel, and I'll see you in the next episode.